20th, 2025. This is What is HOA? What is HOA is brought to you by Zayuk. Zayuk is a company that provides inspections and a software platform for communities, properties to manage their assets more effectively. That includes voting mechanisms, rules mechanisms, various service requests and items of that nature, as well as inspections and a platform to store your inspection deliverables, including the pictures. And for our inspections, we actually take a reality capture and provide a survey grade level model and give you a platform to store and distribute the information of that model across your vendors, across your managers, across your residents, tenants, possibly various stakeholders within your property. And that can even include your local municipality and understanding how your rules coincide with certain rules that your property must abide by. In What is HOA, we usually go through current events, and one current event occurring in San Francisco is a sprinkler mandate for buildings built before 1975. Some have really large assessments due to these changes. They're historic buildings or older buildings, some buildings up to $2,500 a month in assessments, upwards of $2,500 a month to build up reserves to work towards that. And the stated and expected deliverable on that is 2035. Applies to about 9,800 different units. Permits for the building are due by January 2027. I'd be interested to talk to or understand someone how that's going. Supervisor Stephen Sherrill represents Marina and Pacific Heights, where about 40 buildings fall under the ordinance. Extending the whole process is that it would lose steam and sprinkler costs would go up. That was stated by Fire Commissioner. The price has tripled since 2016. And we've seen items like this where local mandates have drawn huge requirements from various properties. Specifically, Florida had huge requirements implemented by the government and actually had to repeal some, not repeal, but just amend the requirements because it was distressing the communities. They couldn't meet the asset requirements, the reserves requirements that Florida was mandating. Some of them, not all of them. Nobody, quote, nobody is anti-fire safety. We have been extremely vigilant with our safety issues with taking care of the building, but the implications of the ordinance have not been considered, unquote. And I think that's the same across Florida as well, which had a mandate for asset reserve hygiene. It's not that they're anti-asset reserve hygiene, it's that it's a difficult mandate. I mean, 10 years is much more, or right now it's 2025, so these mandates will be due in 10 years. And understanding that using a platform like Zayuk, those high rises, I believe there's roughly 126, but really any high rises can have a platform to maintain a constant feed of their reserves, the reserves amount, as well as the requirements for changing with accurate assessments, in the sense of accurate understanding of what the requirements are in 8 years, 9 years, 10 years for which projects, and having a visualization tool that you integrate with your daily operations, including service requests, violations, whether you have certain delinquencies, any sort of operational workflow or standard that you need to meet as a property, as a homeowner association or condo association, it's helpful to be able to visualize it and store it. And Zayuk helps you with that. Okay. In Idaho, and it's interesting to consider, some of the lowest densities of homeowners associations are in these northern mountain states: Wyoming, Idaho, Dakotas, even Wisconsin. I mean, the Dakotas and Wisconsin are not mountain states, but they are in the north. But the three, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, have some of the fewest lowest prevalence of homeowners associations. And so here in Idaho Statesman, quote, Idaho is in the Wild West days of HOAs, unquote. A lot of the industry is in a bit of a Wild West state. And I think, not just that, but we provide outlets for multiple different forms of property, decentralized property ownership, co-ops, which are prevalent in New York, but also agricultural co-ops, community choice aggregators for energy, and even, believe it or not, leagues and league management. The protocols within HOA and homeowners associations, it's within many of these organizations, is that when nobody owns it, it's difficult to, when everybody owns something, nobody owns something. That's, I believe in the military, they have one person has to take ownership of an item. Well, in HOAs, when you don't have a primary owner, at times it feels like no one is the owner and no one has the reins. So when you see a headline like Idaho is in the Wild West days of HOAs, you understand that. This group aims to rein them in. This is by Mark D. Treasure Valley residents bolster Idaho law regulating homeowners associations. Idaho HOA Neighbors for Change, an unincorporated nonprofit run by Ada County, gearing up for another shot at legislative action to spur accountability among HOAs in the state. Financial penalties, new transfer of power rules, and transparency requirements. Organizations have drafted legislation, found a representative or senator willing to bring it to the floor when 2026 sessions on January 12th. Need a champion who's going to be a strong voice for us. Stand up for homeowner rights when the legislative session opens. Resident Stephanie Mathis, co-founder of Idaho HOA Neighbors for Change, said with the group's informal membership Tuesday night in Eagle, quote, oh, that's what she said, we need a champion for change. Organization was frustrated with the 2025 session's efforts. Representative John Weber, Republican of Rexburg, introduced legislation designed to ease control of an HOA from a developer into the hands of homeowners. House Bill 361 required developers to cede at least 1/3 of available HOA board seats within 6 months of when a project is 75% sold. And entirely transition control to homeowners within 1 year once a development is 95% built and occupied. Breezed through both chambers with no opposition and signed into law by Governor Brad Little. New law sets too high a bar for turning over an HOA, which in turn grants developers too much power. That's what Richardson believes. Getting a sponsor in the quote, quote, the obstacle is getting a sponsor in the legislature. The Homeowners Association Act consolidated existing law and mandated financial transparency between boards and constituent homeowners. States core legislation from 2022, which is an 8-page document. Not too many. That's a very brief document, which I personally like. I'm not a lawyer, and none of this is legal advice. Liens, disclosure of fees, incorporated or unincorporated HOAs, definitions. 8 pages is very reasonable. And the 8th page in and of itself is only 3 lines. So it's like a 7-page document. House Bill number 628, 2022, Legislature of the State of Idaho. House, okay, blah, blah, blah. All right. Didn't provide an enforcement mechanism. Despite the law, several homeowners have turned to private attorneys. Summarize their goals. Lower the threshold at which a developer must transfer control of an HOA to homeowners from 95 to 75% complete. Clarify requirements guaranteeing homeowners access to finances, records, and other official documents, which Zayuk does. And let me also state, Zayuk works with over 10,000 financial institutions within the U.S., and we provide you direct account balances and transactions across the permissions that your association would like them to. So that can be only your board, and then you release a certain number at certain time across your general residents and general owners and managers. But one of a very pervasive thing that you'll see that I've seen, unfortunately, I didn't really think of this until you actually start looking at the current events, and I don't know why, is that the financial documents that you receive are not the numbers that accurately reflect the amount of capital in the balances. What that means is the numbers do not represent how much money you have in the bank. And you'd think that would be a simple thing in 2025 to defend from, but it's a little shocking that it's not. And Zayu gives you the tools to not put your direct capital into, at least the observance of it, into a single provider. And it's really important because a lot of these issues are because of structures of trust. We can see that trust is something that we are losing, as no one has the need to trust anyone anymore. You know, and that includes in HOAs. Zayuk is a trustless system, a trustless asset management system, a trustless decentralized asset management system built for HOAs, and it gives you the second point where you have access to finance records and other official HOA documents, including our rule ledger, a ledger of your rules, which is really important because we provide digital threads from your rules to your service request, your violations, delinquencies, and even you provide you a platform to invite legal representation. So you can invite your lawyers, and through our vendor protocols, you can actually manage your contracts like your lawyer contract with Zayuk. All right, we'll continue. Richardson said the group is eyeing $100 per day fines up to $25,000 $100,000, a sum sufficient to bring disputes into small courts claim. Defining procedural requirements for HOA board meetings, including public notice standards. Maintaining developer protections over design review and approval for construction on unsold lots, a concession designed to keep developers engaged through the end of build-outs. One in three Idaho homeowning households pay HOA or condo dues. It's an Idaho problem, quote unquote. All right. Park, Kansas. HOA on eastern edge of the city are coming out against the idea of a Kansas City Royals Stadium going in a northwest corner of 119th and Knoll. Sorry, my dog just kind of went crazy. In May, the Royals announced an affiliate of theirs bought the mortgage on the old Sprint campus. 20-minute walk from the intersection. President told Fox he hopes city council members pay attention to how the homeowners in his area feel about this issue. Quote, not heard one individual be in favor of it, unquote. Quote, I've had no one in my neighborhood. Now we're going to have our HOA annual meeting tomorrow night. Had at least 15 people in a neighborhood of 69 say no way, Jose. Royals wouldn't comment, but team confirmed they're considering 3 sites, one being Overland Park. And for as much slack as HOAs get, and rightfully so, because the entire system, they're great managers, they're great vendors, they're really great managers and really great vendors. But it's a lot of these systems are, again, when everyone owns something, no one's owned something, and there's not a way to just have a set of records and have a set of transparency protocols where you can get meetings and newsletters and budgets and financial records and your asset and your reserve study records in one place. But Zayuk provides that. And so if you are in an HOA, if you are in a co-op, any sort of decentralized asset property structure, reach out to us about that. Okay. News Channel 5. Tennessee homeowners blame state HOA laws for the financial havoc. Quote, some left with 96% increase in dues. Homeowners at Lennox Creekside, monthly dues have skyrocketed 96%. Condo community fired property manager company, Gasser Property Management, but residents said dues continue rising while financial documents remain hidden from view. Again, this is why I state this. It's shocking that most HOAs don't provide at least direct viewable protocols for their asset records, and most HOAs don't have a need for it. I think most management companies are at least to somewhat of a degree, able not going to do something crazy like that or illegal like that. But there are a lot of corners, there are a lot of dark corners, and it's great to have a platform where you can actually manage that property. Between our inspections and our software platform, we give you a environment to view what is going on in your property. Quote, we have a Banana Republic HOA, unquote. It should not be this hard to get financials. All right, we'll continue. A new poll shows property owners want to see reform of HOAs. They don't want to see them abolished. And that's exactly what Zayuk does. It provides you a different avenue. And we all know this. I mean, it's in the air. If you're a homeowner, it's a big deal. And this is for Florida. A new poll shows that 80% of residents approve of having an HOA. Although the idea of abolishing made few headlines, these numbers reflect a very different reality. 70% of respondents agree that the removal of HOAs would only bring issues, yet 73% believe that reforming the current system is the right fix for bad actors. And that's true. And it's really going to get into a trustless system. I think Zayuk promotes ourselves as a trustless system. We promote ourselves as a trustless platform and inspection service for your property. And we actually give you models backed by NVIDIA technology to have a visual context and AI context for your property. And it's not just about giving all these different human stakeholders. That's important. And Zayuk does that. We give your vendors, your managers, and vendors across multiple different domains, legal, accountant, landscapers. A lot of these individuals have their own technologies, but at the same time, there are needs for you to maintain your own information. You can't have information disparate amongst all these different stakeholders. And whether you're a property manager, such as we adjust our system for large scale enterprise people as well, but if you are a property owner, you can have a few vendors work through our protocol to type in their notes and to share their documents and to give their documents to you because you need that information for yourself, for your property. And it's difficult, but one of the most we provide you a system to make it more simple, and we give you a service as well through our inspection to bring your property to life in the throughput, in the sense of a digital twin, a 3D model. Lelland woman ordered by HOA to take down at-home food pantry. One woman has kept a food pantry outside her home in Lelland for toiletry, hygiene products, and food. The food pantry was ransacked when she noticed missing several items, including personal property, off her porch. After the robbery, the neighborhood HOA asked the woman to take down the food pantry immediately. The HOA claimed the food pantry was operating as a business and is improper use of a structure. Confused as to why this is a problem now because I've had this running for over 2 years, unquote. Well, I would guess it's because it was ransacked, and that could create a hazard for other residents there. Okay. Homeowners rally in Tallahassee as lawmakers weigh HOA overhaul. Tampa Bay couple fled up with their homeowners association. Turned years of frustration into a protest at Florida's Capitol Hill on Monday, pushing lawmakers to take up major HOA and condo reforms. The couple from Odessa rallied a small but determined crowd, leading a nonprofit and online group called HOA Reform League. Here to have a voice, delivered a stack of letters calling for tougher enforcement and a way to hold what Miller described as corrupt or abusive boards accountable when they break the rules. Yes. It's really difficult. And I mean, the most important thing is a sense of communication, communicating with everyone having a platform or protocols to be able to understand the context of your property. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Hopefully, you all are having a great week. Thursday, about a day and a half left until the weekend. Hopefully, you all are enjoying